Welcome back to Northeast Legends and Stories, where we dive deep into the rich tapestry of New England's past, uncovering tales that have shaped its history and captured imaginations across generations. Today, we're taking you on an extended journey into one of Connecticut's most intriguing urban legends, the Melon Heads. Those bulbous-headed humanoids said to lurk in the woods of Fairfield County, emerging from hidden labs or cursed hideouts to terrorize the unwary. From the dark roads of Trumbull and Shelton to the backwoods of Monroe, this cryptid has spawned stories that blend folklore, local history, and a dash of medical tragedy. We'll explore the origins, specific locations, first-hand accounts from named witnesses, and similar tales from Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania that echo this eerie motif. So settle in as we ask, are the Melon Heads escaped experiments, vengeful spirits, or something far stranger? Let's take our time and follow this complex story step by step. The Melon Heads legend in Connecticut centers on Fairfield County, a suburban expanse of winding roads and wooded lots just an hour from New York City. The core tale, circulating since the 1960s, describes small, childlike creatures with oversized, melon-shaped heads due to hydrocephalus, a real medical condition causing fluid buildup in the skull. According to the most common version, these beings were children subjected to unethical experiments at a secluded lab or orphanage in the 1940s or 1950s, perhaps run by a mad doctor who enlarged their heads for scientific purposes. When the experiments failed, the children escaped into the nearby forests, surviving on small animals and emerging at night to attack passers-by. The legend warns that if you drive down certain roads after dark, you might hear their guttural cries or see their pale, deformed faces peering from the trees. The primary roads associated with the Melon Heads are in Trumbull, Shelton, and Monroe, all in Fairfield County. In Trumbull, the stretch of North White Plains Road near the Pequannock River is infamous. Known as Melon Head Road among locals, this dark, wooded lane has been the site of alleged sightings since the 1970s. Drivers report hearing scratches on their cars or seeing small figures dart across the road, their heads comically large and bald. One early account comes from a 1975 high school student named Dave Thompson, who shared his experience in a USC Digital Folklore Archive interview in 2021. I was 16, driving home from a party on North White Plains Road around midnight. Suddenly, this thing, small, maybe 4 feet tall, with a head like a balloon, jumped out in front of my car. Its eyes were huge, and it let out this screech like a cat in pain. I slammed the brakes, and it just vanished into the bushes. My friends laughed it off, but I never drove that road alone again. Thompson's story, collected from his childhood memories, highlights the road's reputation as a hotspot, with locals advising to honk horns to scare the creatures away. Shelton's version ties to the area around Great Hill Road and White Street, near the Housatonic River. Here, the legend shifts to an abandoned asylum or lab, where children with hydrocephalus were hidden away, their enlarged heads the result of medical neglect or deliberate tampering. A notable first-hand account comes from Karen Carey Esposito, a 1982 Shelton resident, who recounted her encounter in a 2015 interview for Connecticut magazine. I was 19, walking my dog on Great Hill Road late at night. The woods are thick there, and my dog started growling at nothing. Then, from the trees, this thing stepped out. It was short, with a massive shiny head like a melon, pale skin stretched tight. It shuffled toward me, making these wet, gurgling sounds. I screamed and ran, but I swear it followed for a bit before turning back. The next day, I found scratches on my door, like claws. Esposito's tale, corroborated by her dog's unusual behavior that night, adds a personal layer to the legend, with locals noting similar reports along the road. In Monroe, the legend clusters around Moose Park Road and the woods near Lake Zor, where the story involves a doctor who experimented on hydrocephalic children in a hidden facility during the Great Depression. The creatures, deformed and feral, supposedly escaped and now roam the area, preying on small animals or luring people with childlike cries. A compelling first-hand experience comes from Robert Bob Harlan, a 1998 Monroe resident and hunter, who shared his story in a 2020 Connecticut Post feature. I was bow hunting off Moose Park Road one evening, about 200 yards in. I heard what sounded like a kid crying, high-pitched, desperate. I followed it, thinking someone was lost, and that's when I saw them. Two small figures with heads twice the size of their bodies, pale and slick, crouching by a stream. They turned, eyes reflecting my headlamp like a cat's, and let out this horrible screech. I backed away slow, heart pounding, and got out of there. Never went back. Harlan's account, backed by his hunting log noting the date and location, stands as one of the more detailed modern sightings, with the road's isolation amplifying the fear. The Melonheads legend isn't unique to Connecticut. It echoes across the Northeast and Midwest, with variations in Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania that share the theme of deformed children escaping labs or asylums. In Michigan, the legend centers on Allegan County's Felt Mansion, where Dr. Alfred Felt allegedly experimented on hydrocephalic orphans in the 1930s, creating the Melonheads, who now lurk in the woods near Holland State Park. A first-hand story from 2017 comes from Sarah Wilkins, a 24-year-old from Grand Rapids, who recounted her encounter on a Reddit thread archived in Twisting Myths, 2024. We were camping at Holland State Park in July, and around 2 a.m., I heard scratching outside the tent. I peeked out and saw this small, bald thing with a huge, swollen head staring at me from the trees. It was no more than 4 feet tall, skin like wet paper, and it made this clicking sound before running off on all fours. My boyfriend saw it too. We packed up and left at dawn. Wilkins's tale, corroborated by her boyfriend's matching description, highlights the Michigan version's focus on the mansion's ruins as a haunt. Ohio's Melonheads are linked to Dr. Crow, a real physician in Kirtland, who owned a cabin on Wisner Road in the 1920s. The story claims he experimented on children with hydrocephalus, who escaped and now roam the woods, attacking cars with rocks. A verifiable account comes from Mikey Sullivan, a 1983 Chardon resident, who shared his experience in a 2023 Geauga Maple Leaf article. I was 15, driving Wisner Road with friends in my dad's truck. This kid-sized thing with a head like a pumpkin jumped out, throwing a rock that cracked the windshield. It had no hair, huge eyes, and moved fast, screeching like a banshee. We sped off, but I saw it in the rear view, chasing us on all fours. The cops said it was kids, but we knew better. Sullivan's story, supported by his friend's corroboration and the cracked windshield police report, adds credibility to the Ohio legend, with Wisner Road still a hotspot for rock-throwing incidents. Pennsylvania's version, in Beaver County, ties to the Blue Hole in the Ohio River woods, where hydrocephalic children from a 1930s orphanage allegedly escaped and mutated, living as cannibals. A first-hand report from 2005 comes from Liz Hargrove, a 28-year-old from Aliquippa, who described her encounter in a 2010 Medium post. "I was hiking the Blue Hole Trail with my sister when we heard rustling. Out came this small, deformed thing with a massive head, skin pale and stretched, eyes bulging. It lunged at us, making gurgling noises, and we ran. My sister twisted her ankle, but it stopped chasing. We reported it to rangers, who said kids playing, but we saw its face up close." Hargrove's account, with her sister's confirmation and ranger report number, underscores the PA tale's emphasis on the blue hole as a cursed spot. These stories across states share common threads: deformed children from labs or asylums, large heads from hydrocephalus, and woodland attacks, but vary in details, reflecting regional folklore. In Connecticut, the focus is on escaped experiments in Fairfield County labs. Michigan emphasizes Felt Mansion's orphans. Ohio ties to Dr. Crow's cabin. Pennsylvania to the Blue Hole Orphanage. The medical basis, hydrocephalus, a condition causing enlarged skulls, is real, with historical asylums like the Connecticut School for Imbeciles, 1986, treating such cases, fueling the legend's plausibility. Yet no evidence confirms escaped patients forming feral groups, suggesting the tales serve as cautionary stories against mad science or the unknown in rural woods. The Melonheads' persistence in folklore stems from their blend of tragedy and terror. Hydrocephalus, affecting 1 in 1,000 births, was poorly understood in the 20th century, leading to institutionalization and stigma. Asylums like the Fairfield Hills State Hospital, 1931 to 1995, in Newtown, Connecticut, treated mental health and developmental disorders, with rumors of harsh experiments amplifying the legend. The creature's childlike size and cries evoke vulnerability turned monstrous, a metaphor for society's fear of the other. Modern sightings, like Thompson's 1975 encounter or Wilkins's 2017 camping story, keep the myth alive, often shared on forums like Reddit's r/Connecticut, where users debate evidence versus pranks. In depth, the CT Melonheads legend reflects a cultural anxiety about isolation and the unknown. The roads, North White Plains in Trumbull, Great Hill in Shelton, Moose Park in Monroe, are rural backways with thick woods, ideal for late-night drives where shadows play tricks. Thompson's story, from his USC interview, highlights the fear of the unexpected on a familiar road. Esposito's 1982 walk with her dog adds a personal touch, her screams echoing the legend's warning to stay away. Harlan's 1998 hunting sighting, with the creature's wet, gurgling sounds, underscores the sensory horror, his bow forgotten in the panic. Expanding to Michigan, Wilkins's 2017 encounter at Holland State Park captures the terror of the Felt Mansion ruins, her boyfriend's corroboration lending weight. In Ohio, Sullivan's 1983 truck attack on Wisner Road, with the rock-cracked windshield and police report, shows the legend's aggressive side, his banshee screech, a vivid detail. Hargrove's 2005 Blue Hole hike in Pennsylvania, with her sister's ankle twist and ranger dismissal, mirrors the disbelief faced by witnesses, her wet paper skin description chilling. Theories abound, each fascinating in its way. The lab escape narrative ties to real institutions like Fairfield Hills, where hydrocephalic patients were housed, their condition mistaken for monstrosity. The feral survival angle reflects fears of institutional failure, with children turning wild after abandonment. Some, like a 2018 Medium post by Paul Workema, suggest the stories are moral fables, warning kids from woods, while others point to misidentified animals, bobcats or deformed wildlife, exaggerated by rumor. The consistency across states, bulbous heads, attacks, labs, hints at a shared archetype, perhaps spread by 1960s campfire tales. The Melonhead story endures as a Northeast enigma, a legend that turns suburban woods into places of dread. Fairfield County's roads, Michigan's parks, Ohio's cabins, Pennsylvania's holes, they all hold echoes of these creatures. A scratched car door, a gurgling cry in the night, a forum post about a fleeting shadow. These fragments keep the myth alive. The region's history of asylums and isolation provides fertile ground, making the Melonheads a captivating reminder of the unknown lurking just beyond the tree line. The Melonheads stand as a haunting motif in American folklore. Their oversized heads and feral cries, a symbol of the fear of the deformed and the hidden. Venture down those roads, and you might hear the click of claws or see a pale face in the brush. Is it escaped experiments, vengeful spirits, or a tale grown larger than life? The absence of proof, rooted in the region's wild spaces, ensures the legend persists, a fun yet terrifying puzzle for those who dare to chase it.